During the 70s, Sylvia Kristel worked on lesser-known films by prominent French directors, amongst them Claude Chabrol and Roger Vadim, and starred next to Joe D'Alessandro in Valérie Borovchik La Mouche, a success at the French box office. Viaggio Celebrity Presents Top 20 Sylvia Kristel Films. Number 20. The Concorde Airport 79. This last film in the Airport series ends fast with supersonic transport Concorde. Joe Petroni Meredith with a nuclear missile being fired at the Speedbird. As a passenger on board is carrying document, wheels are terrific and so are the laughs. Number 19. Alice or the Last Escapade 1977. Alice Carroll leaves her husband one rainy night, telling him that she does not love him anymore. She travels alone, but when her windscreen breaks on a lonely road, she has to stop and seek help. She goes to a creepy manor and is welcomed by the owner, Henry, and his butler Colas. Alice is invited to spend the night in the house. The next morning, Alice can't find the two men from the previous night, but finds her car surprisingly fixed. She tries to leave but cannot find the gate. She stops the car and walks around the wall, trying to find an exit, but becomes increasingly worried with what she finds. Sylvia Kristel said in a 1981 interview that she felt this movie bombed because she only had one nude scene. She said, "For some reason, the role in which I keep my clothes on never becomes successful movies." Number 18. Casanova 1987. A very long, beginning to end life story of an 18th century womanizer that is arrested. Not so much for his crimes, but because he is viewed as an undesirable by the husband and families of the women he seduces. George MacDonald Fraser, author of the Flashman novels, should have been signed up by Hollywood a long time ago and put to work reworking classic of the swashbuckling and devil-may-care varieties into entertaining and literate movies. As it is, he has only had a handful of chances to do so. Principally Octopussy, Richard Lester's Musketeer movies, and Lester's adaptation of Fraser's own Royal Flush. Number 17. Emmanuelle 7, 1993. Sophie, who goes to college with Emmanuelle, a bad decision makes them go their separate ways into separate worlds with totally different lives. Now Emmanuelle must try to right the wrong and bring Sophie back to the fun side of life. This film marked the return of Sylvia Kristel to the role of Emmanuelle after not playing the Emmanuelle character in Emmanuelle 5 and Emmanuelle 6. Sylvia Kristel's return to the role of Emmanuelle was not a happy one. Due to financing her husband Philip Blood's failing film projects that drained her financially, she agreed to star in the film but only in a non-nude role. Number 16. The Streetwalker 1976. Sigismo is a man lost in an erotic haze which clouds his judgment. Early in the film, it is evident that the man has a physically passionate relationship with his wife, with whom he has a son. While on a business trip to Paris, he comes under the spell of a famous beautiful prostitute who resembles his wife. However, his efforts to monopolize her attention are not appreciated by her pimp and he is severely beaten. When he gets a letter informing him of the death of his wife and son, he is totally devastated. In her autobiography Nude, Sylvia Kristel said that this was probably her favorite acting role, and that she found it a shame that not a lot of people saw it at the cinema. Number 15. The Big Bet 1985. A teenage boy that had early love encounter is having trouble finding them now, and spends a lot of time fantasizing about the woman he knows. When a beautiful new girl comes to town, he makes a bet with the other guys that he can get her into bed within 10 days. His chief rivals take the deck, though, by threatening to expose the new girl's sordid past if she sleeps with a hero. Confused about his situation, the boy seeks counsel from the hot older woman across the street, and she helps him come to terms with his predicament. Number 14. The Nude Bomb 1980. An unknown terrorist has developed a new type of bomb that will destroy clothing but leave people unharmed. Agent Maxwell Smart is taken out of retirement and sent back into the field to track down who this madman is and put a stop to his plans. According to Get Smart writer-producer Leonard Stern, the idea of a nude bomb was forced on the writer by the producers. The original idea by the writers, who also wrote the original series, was for the villain to want to control the world by dressing everyone in his designer clothes. The film was supposed to be titled The Return of Maxwell Smart, but the producer thought the new title would draw more viewers. Because of many disagreements, the writers were not allowed on the set. Number 13. Because of the Cats 1973. This youth delinquency story centers around a group of 6 well-to-do but never-do-well teens who perpetrate rape and extreme vandalism. Brian Marshall is the put-upon detective in Amsterdam who is assigned the case after a particularly graphic gang rape takes place in his metropolitan jurisdiction. All leads point to a Dutch seaside town and the 6 lads who are seen as upstanding youth in the community as the perpetrators. The intriguing element about this otherwise slow-moving affair is the realistic band director Fons Rademacher bring to the proceedings. Number 12. Emmanuelle 4, 1984. In order to escape from her former lover Mark, Sylvia goes to Brazil where Dr. Centemo transforms her into the beautiful Emmanuelle. With this new identity comes an awakening which is complicated by her memories of Mark. As with other entries in this series, the plot twist provides ample opportunity to expose the characters. This was the first Emmanuelle movie in the official series where Sylvia Kristel was not the main actress playing Emmanuelle. Kristel appears but mostly in the first part of the movie before a surgical operation transforms her Emmanuelle character into a new Emmanuelle played by Mia Negron. The original French version of the film was shot and released in Aravision 3D, but new scenes were shot for the US version in Stereovision 3D and composited into the American print. Number 11. Tigers in Lipstick 1979. An Italian comedy about a heist involving a princess necklace and a cast of characters who are not what they seem. They do about anything they can to get the necklace from each other. Most of the shots within this film are pretty bad, and even if you want to see several hot symbols of the past in the same movie, it just isn't worth it. But at least this movie does save the best for last, as the final shot with Laura Antonelli is definitely worth watching. So if you ever come across this film, skip everything but the final 20 minutes or so. But if you do decide to watch it all, you probably won't be in a laughing mood once the only funny segment begins. Number 10. Mata Hari 1985. Mata Hari is a beautiful Dutch-born dancer working in Paris. It is August 1914 and war between France and Germany seems imminent. However, she accepts an invitation to travel to Berlin as part of a show. On the train, she meets a young German army officer. But any thought of romance are cut short when a French agent is murdered on the train while in her company. She is arrested in Germany but freed when the German officer intervenes. While in Germany, war breaks out and she is recruited by German intelligence to spy on France. The genealogy of the Mata Hari character was half Dutch and half Javanese. Actress Sylvia Kristel playing her was actually in real life of Dutch lineage herself, having come from Holland. Number 9. Emmanuelle 3, 1977. Emmanuelle and her architect husband continue their immoral lifestyle in the Seychelles. But when a casual dalliance between her and a film director starts to turn serious, her husband shows very traditional signs of jealousy. Final Emmanuelle film in the official Emmanuelle series where Sylvia Kristel is the main actress playing the Emmanuelle character until Emmanuelle 7. Sylvia Kristel was excited to act in this movie because it was shot on location on the Seychelles island. Kristel only briefly plays Emmanuelle at the start of Emmanuelle 4 and does not appear at all in Emmanuelle 5 and Emmanuelle 6. The original version was released in 1980 by the Jerry Gross organization formerly known as Cinemation Industries. Number 8. Playing with Fire, 1975. When Carolina, the daughter of a wealthy banker George de Saxe, is reported kidnapped, it is upsetting to him even though he knows it isn't true. The kidnappers have taken the wrong person. The banker hires Franz, a disabled city detective, to find his daughter and hide her safely away. She soon finds herself in a fantasy land house where all kinds of extreme perversion are routinely practiced. There, a near double of her father whips and then seduces her. Eventually, she and the private eye escape or leave, having extorted the kidnapping money from the girl's father. Number 7. Emmanuelle 2, 1975. After 2 months of separation, Emmanuelle must find her husband Jean in Hong Kong. She goes there by boat. Once in Thailand, she finds her husband and meets Christopher, a mysterious airplane pilot. At a dinner, she also meets Laura, Jean's mistress, and her troubling stepdaughter Anna Maria. She proceeds to have several extramarital affairs with John's knowledge, of course. Sylvia Kristel got an infection in her left eye during the making of this movie. Judge Jackin was asked to direct this film but turned that offer down. Number 6. The Fifth Musketeer, 1979. King Louis has without his knowledge a twin brother Philip, but when he is told, he immediately locks up his brother in the Bastille. The king wants to increase his popularity and stage an assassination against himself where Philip is dressed as King Louis. But Philip managed to escape the assassination and everybody believed him to be the real king. Because this movie soon followed The Three Musketeers and The Four Musketeers, Milady's Revenge, the title suggests it was a further sequel to the then two recent Richard Lester directed Musketeer movies, by virtue of the sequential Musketeer numbering of the three movies. Number 5. Lady Chatterley's Lover, 1981. A film adaptation of D.H. Lawrence's novel. After a crippling injury leaves her husband impotent, Lady Chatterley is torn between her love for her husband and her physical desires. With her husband's consent, she seeks out other means of fulfilling her needs. The character of Oliver Mallows was originally going to be played by Ian McShane, who was a former boyfriend of lead star Sylvia Kristel. McShane pulled out of the film when his wife objected to him partaking in love scenes with his ex-girlfriend. Sylvia Kristel once said that this film was the best movie she had ever made. Number 4. Private Lessons, 1981. Philip Filmo is a naive 15-year-old preoccupied with romance who develops a crush on Nicole Mello, the new 30-something French housekeeper and sitter to look after him when Philip's father is out of town for the summer on a business trip. But Mr. Fillmore's unscrupulous chauffeur Lester Lewis takes advantage of Philip's crush on Nicole to hire her to seduce the youth, then draws her into a plot to fake her own death in a blackmail scheme aimed to drain Philip's trust fund. Eric Brown replaced another actor who was originally cast as Philip Fillmore but was fired after 18 days of shooting. Chuck Berry received a lot of hate mail for this film from people who were disgusted by its content. He never made another film again because of it. Number 3. Red Heat, 1985. Kristen Carlson, an American college student, traveled to West Germany to visit her fiancé Mike, who is serving in the US Army there. She tried to convince him to marry her promptly, but he chooses to delay marriage in order to re-enlist. Distraught by Mike's decision, Kristen takes a late-night walk where she witnesses a kidnapping by the East German Stasi and gets kidnapped herself as well. She is transported to the East Zone where she is brutally interrogated by the Stasi, forced to admit to false charges of espionage, and thrown into a women's prison with the common criminals, including the gang leader Sofia, who is the prisoner's top bitch and has de facto control of the entire prison population. Number 2. Private School 1983. Christine, a student at an exclusive all-girls private school, is in love with Jim, who attends an academy for boys nearby. Christine's arch-rival Jordan also has her eye on Jim, and she is willing to do whatever she can to steal him away. Jim's uber-slow buddy Booba is going with Betsy, Kristen's cynical friend, though he would probably be unfaithful if any other woman were willing to get near him. Booba and his pals sneak into the girls' school, dress in drag in hopes of reaching the promised land, while Christine and Jim run away together for the weekend, though their escapade isn't as romantic as they had hoped. Actress Betsy Russell said in an interview that after seeing her perform her nude scene, producer wrote in yet another topless scene later in the film that wasn't in her contract, but she refused to do it. Number 1. Emmanuelle, 1974. Emmanuelle is a beautiful young model and lives in Bangkok together with her husband Jean, who is several years older. She likes him because he is taught her much, and he likes her because she is learning so well and wants to often. Both are very tolerant in matter of extramarital affairs, so he doesn't mind the young Mary Ange coming over every so often, although she obviously wants more than talk from his wife. But Emmanuelle is more fascinated by the older bee and joins her on a trip into the jungle. Star Sylvia Kristel was apparently fairly unhappy that she was not approached regarding the English language dub of the film, as she herself spoke fluent English and felt she was capable of doing the job herself.